everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Charmaine and today we'll be doing a long-lasting wedding guest makeup look tutorial. So back in October, me and my boyfriend actually flew to Surabaya, Indonesia from Singapore to attend one of his best friend's wedding at Shangri-La, Surabaya, which was one of the bougiest experience of my entire life. Anyways, I posted a photo of like my makeup look, which is the makeup look that I'm wearing right now, and I asked if anyone would want to see like a long-lasting makeup tutorial. I also thought that it would be a good idea to film something like this to teach everyone how to have makeup that stays on forever. Not forever, like at least throughout the night, because it's always going to be useful for us, especially for people like us who live in very humid weather, whether it be Indonesia or Singapore. It's just very bad. So on that photo, at least one person commented and said that she would like to see a tutorial. I was very happy that I got that comment, and I thought that I would just really do a tutorial for everyone. So in this video, I'll walk you through step by step exactly how I achieve long-lasting makeup, from the base, the primer, all the way up to like the last steps and all the tips and tricks in between. I also tried my best to recreate exactly the look that I was wearing in that photo, all the way down to the hair. So with that said, if you're interested in how I created this makeup look over here, and also learning how I take the steps to make this makeup look last an entire night, then please keep on watching. Okay, so I'm going to start first with the primer. Primers are very important if you want your makeup to last longer, especially when it comes to your foundation. And on the day that I did my makeup, I used the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Primer. I have a small little sample size right here. I didn't know that I needed this, but then when I started using this mini size that I got from my Sephora purchases, I really fell in love, and then I've been trying to like make this last for as long as possible because I don't really want to spend that much money. Okay, so I'm just gonna take 2 pumps of that small tube, so I assume it'll be 1 pump of the big one. I'm just gonna put it all over my face. Of course, I have already primed and of course I've already moisturized my face. Always moisturize before applying your foundation and any makeup onto your skin, because that moisturizer is gonna act as a base and a barrier between the makeup and your skin. I'm gonna massage this in so I'm bringing it down a little down my neck. Most of the primer I'm actually massaging, focusing onto my T-zone area, because that's where makeup starts to break up for me first. The rest of the products, I'll just massage it outwards until it is fully absorbed. This primer leaves the skin feeling a little grippy, like a bit rubbery. Not really, but there's that sort of feeling to it. So when you start getting a feeling on your skin, it's time to stop massaging it in, and then you can start going in with your foundation. And then the foundation that I used in that makeup look is by Clarins Skin Illusion SPF 15 Natural Hydrating Foundation. It looks like this. I have the color Ivory in 103. I'm just gonna put a couple of drops onto my hand, about this much, and then dab it onto my skin. I like to sort of distribute the product evenly over my skin first before I go in with a brush to really blend it out, because I find that gives my skin the most coverage. And I'm just going to blend it into my skin. The foundation that I chose is a little bit more on the luminous side, because I have been liking that look, and this foundation on its own actually lasts quite well on my skin. But I mainly chose this foundation because of the glow. Okay, then once I'm done with that step, I'm going in with concealer. I have 2 over here that I packed with me to Indonesia, and I used both of them on that makeup look. And this one is the Becca Aqua Luminous Perfecting Concealer in the shade Light. And this one is the Too Faced Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer in the shade Swan. And I like to use this more for like under the eyes and illumination and more light coverage things like covering redness, whereas this one I like to use it over my pimples and other things that requires a little bit more extra coverage. I'm first going to go in with my Becca concealer, and then I like to just dot like 3-4 dots like that, not too much, onto the under eye area, and make sure I have an even distribution. I like to put like one little more dot here in the insides, especially because excuse me, especially because recently I've been getting not a lot of sleep. And then around my nose to cover the redness, and also some around the mouth, like this edge over here, because that kind of brightens the entire look altogether at the end. I also like to take some of this down the center of my face, like my forehead, on the chin, and some on the nose. But there's like, I do have like a pimple on my nose right now, like a scarring, so I have to go in with the other concealer. My Too Faced concealer is actually on the lighter side right now for my current skin tone, so I have to be very careful with however much I'm using. But if you have a concealer that has about the same color as your skin tone, then that's not an issue. It has quite good coverage, so you can just go in with the pimples and any imperfections that you have to, you know, correct. It's a bit light for my pimples right now because of my skin tone. I might have to go in with another concealer that I did not use. Oh, and also I'm just brightening up my darker circles with this concealer a little. I'm gonna have to go in with the Saem Cover Perfection concealer, tip concealer in 1.5. This one has a better shade for my acne right now, considering my skin tone. I'm just gonna put it all over where I need that extra bit of coverage for my scarring situation. I'm going back in with the same foundation brush, and I will start blending everything in, starting with my under eyes. When it comes to long-lasting concealers, it really comes down to like formula and what you can find on the market. I have found that all three of these concealers have been quite long-lasting on me, especially the Saem one, but that one I did not use during the wedding. When it comes to coverage, when you go to blend in your concealer over like scarring and acne and things like that, what you don't want to do is swipe the brush or your finger over the concealer, because what that does is just wiping whatever product you have on your skin off your skin. Instead, what you want to do is to gently kind of pounce or tap in the concealer, because with this motion it sort of just lifts a bit of the concealer up, and then you kind of deposit it back onto your skin in a similar area. So in that way it blends out the concealer without removing it, and then your skin will look, or rather my skin looks like this right now after quite a bit of help from my concealers. Having 3 concealers is a bit excessive, so you can opt for one concealer that matches everything, or you can opt for 2, one that's lighter or more luminous for under your eyes, and one that's about your skin tone for like coverage and things like that. But if you have perfect skin, then just opt for the one that brightens your under eyes. And then after I'm done with my base, I go in with my brows, and as usual I like to use my Kat Von D Brow Struck Dimension Powder, and this one is in light brown. I use brow powders with a brush that looks like this. This is actually an eyeliner brush from Colourpop in the number E6, but I like to use this for my brows because it gives me a lot of precision. Go in with your preferred brow powders or pencils or pomades, really doesn't matter. For me, I just like how powders look in my eyebrows because it gives it a softer, more natural look, even though I do draw in my brows quite a bit because I don't really have a lot of brows. So now that I'm done drawing in the shape of my eyebrows, I need to correct the color of my hair. So I like to go in with a brow mascara, and this one is by 3CE, it's my favorite. This one is in the color gold brown. I'll just I like to brush it into my brows to change up the color a little, lighten the formula a little bit. Okay, now that I'm done with my brows, it is time for eyeshadow. And with eyeshadows, if you want them to stay on longer, usually people go in with like eyeshadow primer because that helps with the creasing situation. But personally, I don't really like using eye primers. No other reason than I don't really prefer the extra step, and I tend to find that my eyeshadows don't really crease on me that much if I use the correct type of eyeshadows or like high quality eyeshadows. So if you have oilier eyelids or you find creasing on the eyelids a very big issue, then I would recommend that you go in with an eye primer first. Some of the ones that I've tried and love are like the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer, the Primer Potion I think it's called, and I've also tried the Too Faced Shadow Insurance. If it's still around, I'll just put it up on the screen. And I also heard very good things about the Fenty eyeshadow primer, so you can try that out too if you want. In terms of eyeshadow, you can do whatever your heart desires. You can even not do eyeshadow if you don't want to, but put on some powder on your eyelids, like just dust some powder so that it doesn't, like the concealer and the foundation on your eyelids don't crease. But if you want to do eyeshadows, it's really up to you what you want to do. It's like you can do very simple looks, or you can do very smoky, very extravagant looks with glitter and black eyeshadow and things like that. For me, on the day itself, I used the Colourpop California Love palette to do my eyeshadow look. I'm just gonna try to recreate what look I did on that day, but I don't really remember what I did on the day itself, so I'm just gonna try to wing it and create a look with this palette. Let me zoom you in. So now that we're closer to my face, let's start with the eyeshadow part of this tutorial. And I'm just gonna go in with this color right here for now. This one is Gnarly. Almost all my eyeshadow looks, I like to start with like a light brown base in my crease as a transition shade, because I find that it always leaves me with a nice base to work off, and the eyeshadow looks that come out of laying down a base always looks a lot better. Just a fluffy brush that is almost oversized works very well, because it's not about precision, it's just laying down color onto the lids. And I like to like kind of just go higher up into this area to kind of create a shadow in my inner eye socket area here. It really helps with the overall effect, the overall final look on the face, because of how like this one adds to the contouring. It sort of creates like an illusion of a continuous shadow from like inside the eyes all the way up to here, so it looks like I have deeper set eyes than I actually do. I also like to fluff some of this color on my lower lash line, just without care, just look up and sort of fluff it there, just to blend out a shade like this, and then we get a shadow like that, right? Then with a smaller crease brush like this is my brushes are all dirty but I'm just gonna go in with like a darker brown shade. I'm trying to remember which one I'm using. We're just gonna go in with this one right here. This is Highway 1. It's like a reddish brown shade. Just make sure to tap off the excess before you go in and tap it into the outer corners of the eyes to kind of create some depth. I just want to like really blend it in. And then we can stop here if you want, or if you want a little bit more depth, you can go in with a little bit more of that brown and just focus it in a smaller area so that you can darken it up without compromising the blending. And then when I have a shape kind of like this, I like to go back in with like the fluffier brush from before without any additional product and just blend everything out a little bit more to make sure that there are no harsh edges. I'm also gonna put some of that Highway 1 color with my smaller fluffy brush on the underneath outer 1/4 of my eyes like this to connect the outer corner on the top to the bottom like this, so there's like some sort of finality to the look. Like it looks more complete this way. And it also helps with making my eyes look a lot bigger. And don't be afraid to bring it down further than you think you can. That's gonna come together at the end. And then for the eyelid color, for like special events, I like to go in with like shimmery colors. That night, I think I went in with Diego, but I might be wrong. But it's just like a very nice shimmery gold color, like a not gold, a shimmery bronze color of sorts. And with that, I like to use my finger as the best tool. Tap it onto my eyeballs, and then tap it onto my other eyelid in the middle. And then I used a little too much. I'm getting a little bit of fallout, but that's okay. And when you have like a kind of like a base of color, just kind of blend it out with your finger, left and right, and a bit on, like, just try not to go past the crease. Like the maximum you should go is where you see it end on my eyelid, but make sure the bulk of the shimmery shade is here, and then whatever's left you can just blend it upwards. It's fine. And then if you need a little more, just breathe deep into the pen and get a little bit more product for more intensity on the movable lid area. I like to take what's left on my finger onto the bottom middle part of my lower lash line. I don't really look in the mirror or anything for this one. I just kind of feel where everything is and do it a couple of wipes. And that just deposits like a little bit of shimmer, not much, but a bit of color. I'm just gonna go back in with like my big fluffy brush and blend everything out once again. The top and the bottom both. Always remember to blend out whatever work you put down, like any detailed work, and that makes a smoky eye look smokier and more blown out. So now it's time to just look into the mirror and see and decide if it's dark enough or like blended enough for you, and you can make adjustments. For me, I think that I want some more darkness on the outer corners. So I'm gonna go in with this color right down here called Mission with the same smaller fluffy brush. I just want to put a little bit, like not too much. I just want to dab it onto the outermost part of my top and bottom corners like this to give more smokiness. Just do a little wiggle around the area to blend it out, like so. And then make sure to always blend out the edges to not have anything look too harsh and unblended. Once that you've reached your desired effect, the desired shape and the desired tones and shadow on your eyes, then you can call it a day for your eyes. Or if you want, you can always go in with a bit of shimmer. I think I'm just gonna go in with some of El Capitan, which is a glitter color. And sometimes when I feel like it's not enough and you feel like you want a bit more, I just like to tap this glitter shade or any glitter shade that matches the colors on your eyelids. Just a little bit, like not too much, on the centermost parts of the lids to bring in more sparkle and like fun, because I mean it's a celebration, right? So you want to look like you're having fun. And this is my favorite way to like kind of add more dimension and sparkle and interest to my eyes. Just a little bit of that glitter on the eyelids does a lot of nice things to spice up whatever look you have. And then when you're done with your entire eyeshadow look, you can go in with some inner corner highlights. For me, I'm gonna go in with my face highlight, and the one that I always use, and it's also the one that I used in Surabaya, is my Colourpop Flexitarian highlighter. Looks like this. It is my favorite highlighter because it gives such a nice glow to any makeup look. I'm just gonna dab it into my inner corners like so. Okay, now that your eyeshadow part of the eye makeup is done, it's time to go in with some eyeliner. And the eyeliner that I used during that trip was this Visee Color Impact eyeliner. It's from Japan. It's a liquid eyeliner that is just brown and not too dark, which is how I like my eyeliners. And then with eyeliners, you can decide to create just a thin line on your upper lash line to give some dimension like so. You can already see that this eye look a lot more defined than this one. So this is your number one option. You can just pen your liquid liner like tight to your lash line like so and stop right here, and that will be your look. Or if you're like me and you like yourself a cat eye, you can always just go on to extend your liner into a wing liner. You can decide on what length you want. Personally, for events where you really have to meet people and take photos, I don't go too overboard. I just do like a medium length sort of shape like this. And personally, I don't like when I have a long cat eye like this without something in the inner corner to sharpen my eyes, because right now it looks like my eyeball looks round with a tail like a whale. So personally, I will never fail to put a little bit of like a point, just not too much, just a little bit, and kind of draw it back in on the lower lash line like that to create like an illusion of a longer elongated eye with a sharper inner corner look like this. And then right now, as I'm looking at my eyeliner, I want it to be a bit thicker, so I'm gonna go in and thicken up the entire line. It's really up to you. You can leave it like at any degree that you want. Just start small so you can always just build up, because it's easy to add than it is to remove. It's almost impossible to remove at this point because of all your eyeshadow work. And then this is the eyeliner look, and you can see that my eyes on this side is already so much more defined and bigger than this side. And then when you're done with eyeliner, you want to go in with mascara as well. And the mascara that I used on that trip is my ColourPop BFF mascara in brownie points. It looks like this. My tube looks like this, but it actually looks a lot nicer, and with all those cute prints on it, I just used it so much that it all rubbed off. But yeah, it looks like this. It has a very nice chocolatey brown color that is not too warm or too cool tone. It is just dark and brownie like. Like it literally looks like a brownie. And what you want to do is just apply that onto your lashes. For this mascara, I find that just 1 or 2 coats maximum is enough. If you have the time and the patience, you can go for 3. I just go in with my top and bottom lash line, and that just pulls my eyes together and completes the look for me. So you can stop here and call it a day, or you can also put on some false lashes if that's what you enjoy doing. For me, I will stop here because that's what I did, and also I'm not really much into false lashes at this point. And then I'm just gonna do my other eye and come right back. Hi, I'm back. And then both my eyes are now done. So now that I'm done with everything, I like to go in with powder. And the powder that I used, and it's also my favorite powder, is a loose powder from the Face Shop. It is called the Oil Control Water Blotting Powder. It looks like this. This one is a collaboration with Kakao Friends, and it has Peach on it, which is my favorite, and it's so nice. But besides that, the powder inside is actually really good. So if you can still get this powder, even if it's not in this packaging, I would highly recommend that you do. This powder is suitable for all skin types. Even if you have the driest of skins, I think that this one wouldn't dry your skin out and make it look dry and patchy and disgusting and cakey. So I have dry skin myself, so I really enjoy this powder. But if you have really dry skin and you don't think that your foundation is going to go anywhere during the night without powdering, then I would suggest skipping the powder step. But for me, on nights where I think that my makeup has to stay on for a lot longer, I like to go in with some powder just to be sure that my makeup is gonna last. I like to use a powder brush for my face, and this one is from Fenty Beauty. It is their setting brush in number 170. It looks like this. It's very nice and it has very soft bristles, very worth the money. And I'm just gonna go in very lightly, tapping it, not swiping because I don't want to remove any of the other stuff underneath. I'm just gonna go in and tap it under my eyes, especially because that's where you don't want your concealer to move. And then I'll redip every time with like a little bit of powder. If there's too much, I'll just tap it off before I go in with some more. And I'm just gonna focus the powder on places where I know I'm gonna get slightly oily or slightly cakey, which is basically my T-zone and under my eyes, like in this big triangle like this. I just like to go over and set it with a little bit of powder, not too much. I'm not gonna pile on the powder and semi-bake my face. I'm not into the baking thing. I think that baking is too much powder, way too much powder, and such a waste. So when I'm done with powdering my face, let me just check if everything's blended. I am now going to go in with my bronzer, highlighter, and my blush. I'm going to start with my bronzer. This one is the Too Faced Sweethearts bronzer in the color Sweet Tea. And I like to go in with like a brush that looks like this. This one is just a random one from the Tarte Mermaid collection. And it's a dual fiber one. You don't have to use the same type of brush. You especially want to do this during events where you know your photo is going to be taken at some point, because in flash photography and in photos generally, your face just looks a lot better when you have some sort of contouring on, because photos and flash photography tends to flatten the entire face out, and shading your face like with bronzer and contour powders or creams can help mitigate that flattening of the face, because the flash or the camera would be able to pick up the pigments on your face, and then those shading will maintain the sort of like three-dimensional shape to your face. And then after the perimeter of the face is done, I like to go in with the lighter shade with a brush that's like this. It's like a stubby little fluffy brush but denser. This one is from Colourpop. It's their E7 brush, and I like to just go down the sides of my nose, right down from the corner, like from the socket down, to contour and shape out my nose, because I like how it looks on myself. It brings out my nose a little bit because it's slightly on the flatter side of the spectrum. It kind of makes me look a little sultrier and a little more serious, like I mean business, and I really like how it makes me look, basically. And then I will make sure to blend it out with my fingers a little bit, because sometimes with the brush it can get quite a bit on. And then whatever remains on my brush, I like to go down the center of my top lip over here, like this dipper over here, to kind of contour the area, and it makes my lips look a bit poutier on the top and also on the bottom, like just this part underneath. Wedge it in and wiggle it a couple of times to give it a shadow, and then now my lips look a bit poutier and more forward than it naturally is. And once I'm done with bronzer, I will go in with my blush, and then the blush that I used, if I can get it open, was the Colourpop Super Shock Cheek in Get Laid, and it looks like this. Is a nice coral color. I just used like a random brush. I can't say brush and blush. I like to use a blush brush, a random one. This one is from Sephora. Not sure if they still sell this. They probably don't anymore. And I just like to put it here on the apples of the cheeks. I like to bring it up across my nose, because it kind of gives a more believable flush than just like the look of painted cheeks. I don't like that look, but I like to make it look as if I just got sunburnt. Looks a lot more believable if you have some on the nose, some on the forehead, and some on the chin, like so. It might be a bit too much blush for some people, but I generally find that it looks a lot more, it just looks nicer in person when you do it that way and less makeup-y. Honestly speaking, I'm actually a little over the whole highlighter thing, but then for that night, I used my flexitarian highlighter, which is the one that I used on the inner corners as well, and I just like to go in with my finger. It's the best way to apply like super shock highlighters. So I like to do a little dot on the tip of the nose like so, and then a little bit on just right here where my nose is the flattest, to kind of bring it out a little bit, and then some on my lips, like on the cupid's bow here on the cupid's bow here, blend it out, some on the chin with whatever's left, and then with there's a little bit left on my finger, I like to go in and highlight my forehead. I like to highlight mine in like 2 sections because my forehead kind of have like this bone that like sticks out like so. And then I'm just gonna go in with some more highlighter on my cheeks, on the topmost parts, like so. And then I like to just rub it in to blend it in the general area of my cheekbones, especially where it's the highest. And then that will give me a very nice highlighted cheek look that looks not shimmery, just glossy and luminous. And whatever's left over on the finger, if there's any left, you can just bring it up to the brow bone if you want, like so. And then that will just tie the whole glowy look all together, so that when your face hits light, it will just look like you're glowing. So now that you're done with the entire face, what's left is the lips. And then for the lips, you can do whatever you want. For this look, I tend to like to go with either a nude or a red color because it matches. With black, I usually go for red, but in the spirit of continuing with the recreation of my look from Surabaya, the lipstick that I use is actually this small little tiny YSL sample that I have. Is the Tatouage Couture Matte Stain. I probably butchered that because it's French. And this one is in the color 16. It's a very nice mauvey pink shade, and I've been liking this kind of shade for all sorts of looks actually. It's a liquid lipstick, so it's matte, and I just like to put it in the center of my mouth, spread it out a little bit, and blend it out like this. I don't really like a lot of precision in my lips. I just like general color. And then once that's done, you can go in with your fingers to blend it out even more, especially around the edges. Oops, I got some on the outsides. Let me clean that up. And then if you did a boo-boo like me, you can just go back in with your foundation brush. Whatever's left on your foundation brush, you can just wipe it up and clean up any lines or any smudges that you might have made, like me. And then you have like this general color, right? But that's already a very sheared out color because of how I've been kind of incorporating it onto my top and bottom lips. And then to kind of amp up the color again, I like to go in with one more layer on the center in the inner parts of the lips. Do the same thing again, but this time I don't have to focus on hitting the outer edges of the lips. And then that's how I did my lips on that night. And this sample size is very nice because it's small, so it fits into my little evening bag, which is like this big. I usually like to bring it with me so that I can reapply whenever it fades off. When it comes to long-lasting makeup, lipsticks are not part of my concern because I don't mind just going in to reapply. So I could even use like a regular lipstick or like a lip gloss, and it really doesn't matter. I'll just reapply in the bathroom. If reapplying bothers you, you can always opt for either a matte lipstick or liquid lipsticks like this, because these ones would last for a longer time on your lips, and chances are you might not even need to top up and reapply through the night. And usually for people who want makeup to stay on forever, the last and final step is to always go in with a setting spray. Personally, on that night I did not use setting sprays, but it really lasted very well anyways. You can go in with like the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray over here, or the other nice ones that I've tried is the Kat Von D setting spray, and also the, what's the other one that I used that I liked? Is there even another one? No, I don't remember. So with that in mind, that's all from me today. This is how I did my makeup as a wedding guest, wanting my makeup to stay on for hours throughout the night. And yep, I hope you enjoyed and learned something from my tutorial today. And please give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. And with that in mind, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!